It's your movie review, man. I'm Jeff Johnson, and this is
Claude Faitier. And we are going to introduce my nephew. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My name is Sebastian Tarpley.
That's right, our very special guest back again, Sebastian Tarpley from Bash Gaming. And we bring Sebastian in here for the when it's for real, trying to hit it with superheroes. We've had him here before, and we're happy to have him back again. Sebastian, thanks. And we're about to give our review of Antman and the Wasp-Quantumania. This is our full-length review. So if you want the short review, click on our link, get the short review. Go see the film, let us know what you think. If you want our full breakdown, we're about to break it down right now. So Claude, tell us a little bit about Antman the Wasp-Quantumania.
All right. Well, as I mentioned before, it takes place post-snap, and we have again Antman and the Wasp and the family. They are brought into the quantum realm by accident. And I was always curious in a way about the quantum realm, and in terms of hearing about it. But it seemed like the way that we got there, they sort of came up with a convenient reason to sort of go, as opposed to something that seemed just natural. But once we got there, it was an interesting weird world. But I could sort of tell it just was it was just the sort of like the reason we got there was it just sort of seemed like, okay, we were sort of doing a task as opposed to being entertained like the other movies.
Gotcha. Sebastian,
Yeah.
What'd you think of Antman the Wasp-Quantumania?
I really think it was very good. I really liked the part, just the whole movie in general. I just liked how, the build-up, when she had just, made this invention, and, Janet was like, oh, no, stop. I just liked how it was, the tension was oh, no, what's gonna happen? And when they finally go into the actual quantum realm and all those little guys are there, I just thought that was very cool how they kind of incorporated the little aliens and minions and stuff, that because they always usually have stuff like that.
Yeah, they gave themselves an opportunity for a whole new world building, right? Because they basically give us the universe within. Now, this is not our first time, as I say, it's not our first rodeo. This is not our first time going into the quantum realm. So right off the bat, it's one of the things they recognize, this is not like how it looked when we went last. Antman and the Wasp, which was the sequel to Antman, they actually explored the quantum realm because Dr. Hank Pym, went in there to rescue his wife, the original Wasp, Janet Van Dyne. And so he spent some time in there in the second film. Yeah, so there was definitely a lot of world building here. They built a whole new world with whole new different kinds of creatures. The way they look and interact with each other, things are kind of organic and squishy and gooey. And then some things are very mechanical and robotic, and some things are both. Right? There's squishy, gooey, and there's robotic.
And some of them don't have any holes.
Some of them don't have any holes.
Okay. Oh boy.
And are hole jealous. They're kind of jealous. When they first get holes, they were just like, wow, how can I have some? And there was a little body hole math placed in the film saying that humans had 7, and our hero Scott had to think about it for a moment before verifying. Yes, that's very true. Very true. Now, in our quick review, we gave our Power Fist ratings. And you know how we do on the movie review, man. Our Power Fist ratings, a 4 is best and 0 is stinker. And we have a split review. So review roll call, Sebastian. You remember what you gave?
Yeah. I gave it a 4 power fist rating because I just really liked how they incorporated. If you haven't seen the first Ant-Man, remember the bee, that daring guy that came? And I liked how he had turned into this big ugly thing.
Mhm.
I just thought that was very kind of crazy, and it was funny to me.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
actually, that was
Claude?
I thought it was very funny too. I mean, yeah, that was one of the things that sort of stuck out because the people were sort of waiting for MODOK and the way they explained who he was, and that was, yeah. So imagine I also thought I thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
Um,
And
what? Go ahead, Sebastian.
I was just saying, I also really like how um after we were introduced to Kang, we thought he was just this little good guy trying to get home. And then when we actually figured out that he was the main villain, we were like, because like you didn't know that he was going to be a bad guy. And then he turns out to be this whole just big monster that destroys the world.
Yeah, yeah. It was a twist. I think uh the parts that I agree with you guys on, because my fist rating, yours was 4, my fist rating was 2. I gave 2 fist ratings out of 4, and mostly because of Cranky Jeff being critical. And I'm gonna lay down my criticism in a minute. But the parts that I did like about it is the same things I liked in Ant-Man 1 and 2. The humor part that you talked about. Ant-Man, the first one, I mean, was just basically a straight up comedy. I mean, Ant-Man's sidekick team was cast by, a comedian and, 2 comic actors, NTI, being funny. And then, Paul Rudd, our lead character, is a comic actor. And so they went, full on for jokes. And even the FBI agent who was featured in the first and the second film, they said he was in this third film. Did you see him at all? I
I
don't
did.
remember seeing
I
Jimmy
think
Woo. What did he do?
were they yeah where were they, Sebastian? Were they sitting at a table, or what was he doing? Was he just there for a
Yeah.
moment? I think, or
Yeah. He was like sitting on the table. Like no one really noticed him, but like I saw someone that resembled the FBI agent, and he was sitting at the table.
In the quantum realm,
Yeah.
having something to eat. All right, that'll go under my criticism list. Let's stay with the good. I like the fact that Marvel went funny with the Ant-Man series 1 and 2. The first one was full of comedians. Randall Park, who plays Jimmy Woo, was funny in the first and in the second film. And so those are aspects that I like. The parts that made it a 2 and not higher for me are a couple of things. One, we followed the Ant-Man, family now. We've been given Ant-Man family, right? Because first Ant-Man gets a partner, which is the Wasp. So he has a partner in superherodom. And the movies were always about how Ant-Man, played by Paul Rudd, who was the character Scott Clark, and his daughter, and how he's kind of he's a nice guy, but he's goofy and gets in trouble all the time. He's kind of a ne'er do well, trying to do right by his daughter, and even his ex-wife, who has gotten a new boyfriend now, and he wants to do the right thing, and he's a guy who turns into not only for do the right thing guy all the way to an Avenger. So that's both funny and unlikely. Even the fans aren't really sure how to say his name. He goes to get coffee, and they're like, "Yeah, super dude." And then somebody calls him Spider Man, and then once he figures it out, he's like, "Well, you're a bug. You're one of the bugs, Bug Man." I'm fine with that humor. It's just like one of the things that makes this less for me is one, the whole, his original supporting cast are gone now. So his comedian sidekick dudes are maybe seen in flashback, but they're otherwise not a part of our team. And then when they actually give us a comedian cameo of Lord Krylar is introduced, played by Bill Murray, he's not funny. And Bill Murray, Sebastian, did you recognize Bill Murray? Is he somebody to you when you see him?
Yeah.
Is Lord Krylar? Yeah, you know, he goes way, way, way back in our way, way, way back machine as a funny dude. And I mean, I just didn't find him funny. It was a cameo, but it was not a funny cameo. So to me, there was a lot less of the fun and joy, even with the introduction of MODOK. And then I know for Marvel fans, these movies kind of like make cute by giving us aspects from the comic books, like a MODOK and like Kang the Conqueror. But I'm not always happy with them being introduced just long enough to be killed.
And
not to fully. Go ahead.
Yeah, they did change MODOK kind of a bit, because for people who play the Marvel games and people who really like the comics, you might know that real MODOK is actually Dr. Tarleton. But I do like how they kind of changed it up and made him the like original villain from the first movie.
It was a full-on change up, and it's okay. And so that's a positive for you. And what about the tie-ins to the Marvel television series, Sebastian? Did you get a chance to watch
Loki?
Loki, where they started to introduce Kang the Conqueror?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think about that tie into this film and how that stitches together?
I thought that was really good. I really, when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, that's Kang, because I'd known, because that's what the thing is. That same guy that played Kang was actually featured in the Loki movie somewhere. In the Loki show, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. As at the climax, as the ultimate villain, Jonathan Majors, who, you know, it's just he's on a motion picture role now. The actor Jonathan Majors plays Kang the Conqueror in this film, and he's great.
In fact, the thing I really liked about his performance, like I did not read, the Ant-Man comic books, but I was sort of aware of the fact that he was supposed to be the villain, but just like Sebastian, I sort of, the transformation I thought was really good because Jonathan Majors did such a good idea. He carried off the sympathetic person who sort of needed help, and then we find out about his from his sense of rejection and that he basically when the reveal of how much of a monster he is comes up is really surprising, and I definitely definitely liked him as sort of as a villain. I thought he did a wonderful job. I think he's definitely one of the strong parts of the movie, and I look forward to seeing him in other movies because it looks like he's going to be quite a threat. I mean, he's not just like a single task villain like Thanos. He's going to definitely change the script, and I sort of like the way that the movie sort of set him up like that.
The way Loki and this film have already introduced, Jonathan Majors is going to keep working. He has an excellent agent. His agent has set him up so that he's totally stitched into at least this phase of Marvel where he's integral so far now to a popular TV series, Loki, which was very popular and is going to come back for season 2, and this movie. So yeah, he's in for a good long ride. that uses his talents because he gets to be multiple personalities. He's not the same personality each time, and really not technically not the same name. So this is King the Conqueror. Loki, it was the one who remains. I think that's the name he went by. The one who remains, and it looks like he's going to be in with us for a while, and I'm for that. Jonathan Majors is.
I mean, he
is
did
impressive.
remain, so
There you
That's
go.
right.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yes.
I tell you, my initial reaction to coming out the theater, guys, though, was just I don't know, superhero overload, and I gave an equally cranky review of Black Adam when I came out of the theater, asking myself, man, you know, I'm feeling kind of exhausted. You know, the parts that I don't like, I like the world building, and they did actually maybe build out their world a little bit better than Doctor Strange. What was his similar title? It wasn't Quantumania. It was Multiverse of Madness.
Okay. Yeah, Multiverse
So
of
we're
Madness.
getting these, Claude. We're getting these UHF late night television commercial type movies. Quantumania, Multiverse of Madness, more. Bye. Yeah, that part. You know, in the Multiverse of Madness, I really thought was just a little too much when they went into the multiverse. I Sebastian, you're a big gamer. I was like, I really kind of felt like, wow, am I inside the Mario Brothers movie? I mean, the Mario Brothers movie is coming now, so I don't know what they're gonna do because Doctor Strange went he did the double jump click so that you don't fall down. He ran upside down, he ran downside up. He went in a totally crazy universe with crazy creatures, and then Quantumanium went even crazier. And yes, a lot of the Quantumanium creatures were, you know, fantastic and kind of unique and amazing, and allowed them to do whatever they wanted. And some of those characters were great. Others seemed redundant. You drink some slurge so that you can communicate with each other. You know, gross kind of funny, slime kind of funny humor for a practical purpose so that we can all speak the same language. And then they bring out a person who can read minds. So he could have read your mind anyway, so it doesn't matter if you can speak languages. And then also when you go to a bar, you can get a glass of the drink the water, everybody talks to each other. Sure. Okay. You know, if you say so. It's a Quantumanian world, do what you like. And then we got a cantina scene, which is nice, except, you know, Star Wars.
yeah.
Star Wars did it right the first time. So I know everybody feels like, well, then, you know, we got to try to do it too. But when we go to a bar full of strange aliens, I just can't get past the fact that you've got to do better than Star Wars or try something else. So those things kind of just maybe exhausted me. I mean, we were given lots and lots of psychedelia, lots of it, right? I mean, you know, split into a million versions of myself, talk to me 4 or 5 times. Sure. But here's some of the things that would challenge, and not really spoilers, but need challenging their science fiction, right? If you're going to do a thing like this, we're taking ourselves to a whole new level of saying you get really small, and you get so small that you keep falling into the small place, and you show up in another new big place, right? That's what we're supposed to believe. You fall into a whole new universe of the very small. Cool. But, you know, when it's time to get out of there, we'll just open up a door. Just open up a door. Look, the movie's, it's going to take too long. We can't have you falling up. We can, you know, they just get a quick, convenient way of getting out of trouble by saying, if I turn this gadget, a door opens.
Yeah, like how did they even know that the portal had opened behind them? Like that was kind of crazy. But
because the first time it wasn't a portal. The first time was the totally cool. We got sucked in with the giant shrink vacuum cleaner, right?
Yeah.
The same device, the same machine made a shrink vacuum cleaner. Got it. Because that's what happened, you know, in the previous stories. If you get too small, you go into quantum world. Got it. And you keep falling until you fall into the quantum world. Got it. But when it's time to escape, it's like, hey, man, you know, let's wrap this up. The movie's getting long. I got to go get lunch. Somebody just open a portal, will you? Just open up a portal and we're out of here. Deuces, right? Peace and we're out of here. So then a door just opens and you can just jump out the door. Really, really. I liked it better when the bad guys see the good guys get squished and they fall into the universe that's really small. The bad guys, they get crunched like a grape, right? It's very uncomfortable looking. If you're bad, when they shrink you, man, ugh, it looks like it hurts. But that's because the baddies get that. The goodies get a window to walk through. So I kind of challenged that a little bit. That's not
But
consistent.
I did really like what they did to Janet Van Dyne. I liked how she was the one who had like all the ship, and she was like, don't do this, shut it off now, because she was the one trying to protect them because she knew. And when they didn't believe her, she was the one that really got them out. So I feel like she was the real person, and they didn't really give her any credit. They really
she was kind of the adventurer, right? She knows the whole background. She was the one stranded, she said, what, for 30 years. So she's kind of the, excuse the other reference, the Indiana Jones of this world. She'd already explored it, and she knows she even figured some of the languages. She went to the bartender and asked for a drink without drinking the slimy. She knew what to say. Give me a drink. Unga bung mung lung lung. And he's like, oh, you mean the speech drink? You know? Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Also, just definitely, like you said, she was the expert, and I guess the fact that she knew so much, and it was sort of like she, I guess part of, I like the suspense in terms of when it was supposed to happen. I guess one issue that I guess I sort of had with that is that she knew, she sort of knew how dangerous, the world was, and the fact that she had kept it a secret to herself for such a long time. I mean, at least she could have told, the husband, and at least he would have kept tabs when Cassie was going there. But she did. I mean, she ended up being just a major hero because she had to help them navigate the world that nobody else had seen before, and so that
we kind of knew that was coming.
Important.
We kind of knew that she was going to be important. One, because again, in these Marvel movies, they give us big name actors all the time, right? We're not getting, the whole cast is Michelle Pfeiffer. You get Michael Douglas. We get a big name folks. And in the second film, they already teased up that she had an adventure. And but again, a criticism now I bring is if you guys may recall, and I'm cheating, I'm looking up a little bit now. In Antman and the Wasp, when she came out of there, she had power inside of her body. Remember, she saves Ghost Girl. So if you can move back in time, if you can remember the Antman and the Wasp, that's when they introduced the Ant-Man family. They introduced, Janet Van Dyne. They rescued her from the quantum realm. And when she came out, she not only had stories, which she didn't tell all of, right? Because clearly she had been through some things. 30 years down there, she was dressed again a lot more, post-apocalyptic, Indiana Jones. I've been down here a long time. I've been fighting my way. It didn't look like, I'm sorry to say, this film, like, oh, wait a minute. You got cities, you got bars, and you got nightclubs, and you got rocket ships. No, they made it seem like she was stranded, fighting for her life against wild beasts, and she had powers. So I'm a little disappointed that she didn't use her powers. She had zappy powers. Do you remember that, Claude?
You know what? I don't remember the second movie too much, and maybe I should have seen it again. But as you were mentioning it, I'm like, I think I do remember, because she was the one that needed to save the other.
I'm gonna call Ghost Girl. She saved Ghost Girl. She didn't want to, but she saved Ghost Girl. So we already knew she's gonna have her own superhero stuff, right? But none of that translated to this film, which again is another reason why I only given it 2. I miss Michael Pena. That's Luis, the funny guy who was running the business. The other comedians, not as much, but I still like the fact that it was funny. And also, I'll just go ahead and get my full-on complaint here. They've given us Ant-Man universe. They've given them the Ant-Man family, right? So the Ant-Man family is in this film, but they introduce Ghost Girl and the original
And then she just
Goliath.
disappeared
Yes.
in this
Yeah,
one.
and now they're not even talking about it at all. I mean, you could have at least given me a little bit, no pun intended, Ant-Man. You could have given me a little bit, like maybe they show up the last minute saying, "Hey, need our help," or they say, "Let's call our buddies because the only way we can beat Kang the Conqueror is we've got to bring in all of our friends from the Ant universe and bring back Dr. Bill Foster, played by Lawrence Fishburne in the second movie, right? Where Dr. Bill Foster said that he was Goliath. He had done super big before. And then I keep calling her Ghost Girl, which is inaccurate. I don't know if I'm going, but you know which one I mean. They had the one who can phase. Her powers were slightly different, right? She could phase between dimensions, and so maybe her powers would have enhanced the thing. But now they're just not in the story at all. I don't like that. I don't like that. So
What
that
I
wasn't.
really liked about just Ant-Man in general. This wasn't really about Quantumania, but in Ant-Man and the Wasp, like you're saying, Bill Foster was kind of teasing Thor in some ways, and that's going to say how Thor kind of ties in to say Guardians of the Galaxy, and you know that Scott knows the Guardians because he had met them during Endgame or Infinity War, and
That's
like
a good
Jane
cut.
Foster, like Bill Foster might be like the father or the grandfather of Jane Foster and Thor.
Whoa, that's a deep cut. I like all of that, right? But to keep them in the universe, right? Keep
Yeah.
them in the Spider-Man. I mean, sorry, keep them. I called him Spider-Man. See, keep them in the Ant-Man universe. Keep them in the Ant-Man family, right? Have them, call in a lifeline and say, "Oh, we're really stuck here, and what are we gonna do? Let's get the other folks." I don't know. So we took two things out, right? The Janet Van Dyne, no powers. We're just going to pretend she doesn't have her zappy fingers anymore. What's up? No zappy fingers from her. No Goliath. No Ghost Girl. Oh, I guess I'll throw in my one little complaint. I'm getting multiversed out. Everyone is multiversing. It's like Spider-Man multiverse. It's the multiverse of madness. It's everyone everywhere all at once. And I know this is not the review of that film, but my early spoiler is I couldn't get through it. Eventually, Claude and I will review Everywhere, Everything All at Once, which is critically acclaimed and has Michelle Yeoh, who I love, but we'd have to watch it first.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. So, Sebastian, what I'm saying is I'm getting a little multiversed out. They're making me exhausted. Really? Are we just going to say multiverse like
And like
100 times?
Like the next movie, in the next few movies, there's going to be like the Marvels, and they're going to have like Miss Marvel, and like that's even more multiverse. And then like Thor comes in to the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's another, like, can you just like focus on one superhero trying to defeat one villain?
Thank you.
Okay.
It's making my head spin. And I love time travel. So what we've been so I thought this was different, at least where they said, well, okay, it's not so much multiverse and time barrier, it's shrink down dimensional. But then I don't know. Yikes. I'm being multiversed out.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, it looks like they're probably trying to create a new show. So Sebastian, what did you think about Cassie Lang? Do you think she'll be an interesting hero, or?
I think she will. I think by the next Ant-Man movie, she's going to be in maybe like her mid-30s, and she's going to be kind of like her father and be like Ant Girl or something. And she's going to be she has the exact same powers, and like they showed in Quantumania, she can grow small and big, and she has her own suit. So I think that she can have her own little franchise. Like it can be kind of like Spider-Man, where like Uncle Ben died or like Aunt May died, and then like this guy took his place or took her place. I feel like Aunt like by the next movie, I feel like they're gonna have like kind of like um Black Panther, how when Chadwick Boseman died, I kind of feel like they had replaced him. I don't want to give you a spoiler if you haven't seen it, but he was replaced by Shuri. And I really think that was cool because that is like how like everyone gets replaced. Like so if Ant-Man dies, the new Ant girl is gonna be like Cassie Lang, and then she's gonna find someone to have like a partner with that's gonna be like Ant-Man and the Wasp or like Ant Girl and the Bee or something.
I like where your head's going, and those are the
Yeah,
things
I like that you mentioned.
that you like in it.
I'm glad you mentioned the Black Panther sequel too. I think all of us have seen it, so yeah. No, I thought it was cool that Shuri took over for that movie, and yeah. So I think there's they're building up a lot of different things, and so I think it'll be exciting.
I mean, yeah, that's a really good observation, Sebastian. And they have kind of laid it out again because they've created basically Ant-Man's own little colony
Yeah.
of ants, right? We've already established that Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, they were the generational Ant-Man and Wasp, and they already passed it on, right? To the next generation of Ant-Man and Wasp, and why not to the next generation going forward. So I love these stories. I'm down with them. I like the little twist or the clever changes that they make between clever uses of the different characters. I guess it's just sometimes as long as they stay clever, they're not overused, and they're not just taking characters and discarding them in a kind of wanton way.
Yeah, just another thing. I mean, one of the things is, again, I don't have much of a reference for Ant-Man because I did not read it. I've just seen different movies, and I guess one thing they used, just in terms, again, the sense of fun. There were certain moments that were really funny, but then there were certain moments because they were in a different world, that there were certain things they weren't able to do, and that's not necessarily a fault of the movie. In the first movie, you see him shrinking down and he's in a bathtub. So you have like visual references of things that, where playing around with size actually means something. Or when someone throws a car and he's able to make it into a full length car and things like that. So those are the types of things that I thought were really funny. They did a couple of, funny moments, like the daughter shrinking the police car, like for the demonstration. So the sense of fun is something that I enjoyed, and I thought again the world the world was interesting, but again just just the the sense it was a different there was a different comedic energy. Some of it some of it worked, and then there were other things that I thought were just okay. Can't.
It totally takes a different vibe of the small large when you're in a world that's totally fantastical, right? Then it's hard to have perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Since we got buildings that are alive and there are spaceships and that's all cool. Well, then you getting small and big and small and big, we got some of it. They did the best they could, like the discovering of her powers on how to fight between being small and big was a part of this. We got a little origin story component for the I don't know what we're deciding to call this Ant Girl, Ant's daughter, the new Ant Wasp. I don't know, but you know, her discovery of powers was a part of this. But that's cool. But like you said, you don't get the same thing as throwing a Pez candy at a motorcyclist. That's
But
pretty
her
funny.
growth was interesting, because it was like a tension between her and the father, her feeling that the father should be doing more. So I mean, you know that she's going to be a pretty proactive hero, and her
Yeah,
sense of wanting to do things to help people, which I
yeah,
liked.
yeah. Okay, so we're coming to a wrap then on Quantumania, the Antman and the Wasp-Quantumania. You've heard our reviews. You know, we got a big, powerful 4 fist from Sebastian Tarpley and a complete breakdown of how it ties in and how he sees it going to the future. And in your 2 fist reviews from myself and Claude. Any closing remarks on Antman and the Wasp-Quantumania? Sebastian.
Yes. I do really think it was very good. I think it is at least worth maybe like a 3.5 fist. Maybe like 3 fists and like an index and a thumb.
Okay.
So you've heard it from our very special guest, Sebastian Tarpley of Bash Bash Gaming. Check out his YouTube. And from your movie review, man, I'm Jeff Johnson.
I'm Claude Faitier.
And again,
Be
I'm
sure,
Sebastian Tarpley.
be sure to like,
Name
comment, and
name of
subscribe.
your site again. Name of your site.
Bash Bash Gaming.
Please like, comment, movie reviewman, and Bash Bash Gaming. Let us know what you thought about Antman and the Wasp-Quantumania. And we'll see you again next time.